Melissa is a 15-year-old runaway. She has spent the last 3 years as a ward of the court. Now she's bracing for a tough hearing in front of Judge James Payne. Melissa became a CHINS, a child in need of services, when her parents' drug addiction left them unable to take care of their kids. And we find out today that Melissa isn't just a teenager. She's also a mom. Her daughter Raven was born 7 months earlier with severe brain damage.
She has cerebral palsy, and as she gets older and keeps falling off the developmental chart, she's going to have more problems. There's going to be more therapy, whatever.
Patty Kavanaugh is the guardian ad litem for Melissa, serving as her representative in court.
She's a child herself, and I think she's realizing that now and is in a difficult situation of trying to be a parent and a child. But at the same time, she can't be on the run with this baby.
Melissa spent most of her pregnancy on the run, with no real place to call home. As her hearing begins in front of Judge Payne, we know Melissa remains a ward of the court. But now we learn Raven is also a child in need of services. Melissa has to listen as the hearing focuses on what should happen to her baby.
Raven really needs a caretaker. Melissa's under 18 and she needs a caretaker too, and the foster mother will give everything she can for this baby, but she also needs Melissa's support, including making the most of herself, going back to school, though it's going to be a very hard thing for her. And if Melissa doesn't make it, the baby needs to stay with the foster parent. She just really needs to understand that this is crunch time.
Melissa, anything you want to say?
I understand.
I don't care about you.
Okay.
My job right now on this case is to care about Raven. You've already shown that you don't particularly care in a variety of ways. But you see that young man over there with the glasses standing up? That's Sergeant Terheidi. If you take off, I'll ask him to hunt you down and find you and bring you back here. You understand that? And if you happen to decide to leave with Raven, I'll have him and the FBI out looking for you. You will not interfere with the custody of Raven while I have control of her.
It's Judge Payne's responsibility in this court hearing to focus solely on the case at hand, the CHINS hearing for Raven, who has been in foster care since she was 2 weeks old. Raven's foster mom is Karen Butterworth. Karen is a married mother with 7 children in her home, 3 biological children, 2 former foster children she's now adopted, and 2 medical needs foster babies, including Raven.
Well, there's someone who cares for you, isn't it? Why is she willing to do that?
Because she cares.
Cares about what?
Being Raven.
She primarily cares about Raven. Because Raven needs someone to care for. But I want you to understand what this is about. How old are you?
15.
You're 15, and I'm talking to you like you're 25. Raven is going to receive the care that she needs. I'd like that to be you. I'd like you to participate in that. I'd like you to understand what it is, because you are her mother. But if you can't or won't do that, we will find someone who will. And then I'll handle you separately.
Melissa has lived in a treatment facility that helps troubled kids since giving birth to Raven in June of 2000. Today, she's being released to the custody of her new foster mom. She'll finally be reunited with Raven. Karen says she's willing to take a chance on giving Melissa a home with her baby.
Well, there's someone who cares for you, isn't it? How many people do you have like that?
Just her.
Not many, huh? You won't find many people. Don't blow this.
Judge Payne admits it's a delicate balancing act when it comes to Melissa and Raven. He knows Melissa's life has not been easy, but the judge is firm with Melissa, keeping the primary focus on Raven's well-being.
Our responsibility is not to worry about the parent, even though the parent is 15, but to talk about this 5-month-old, 3-month-old child who, in that case, happens to have all sorts of problems because mother put herself at risk when she was pregnant, didn't get prenatal care, and now the child suffers for the rest of her life.
I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 4 months, but when I did find out I was pregnant, I hid it. For a while, my dad was out of jail, but went back to prison. They were both on drugs, didn't care what I did. We didn't even have the type of relationship where they even knew that I was pregnant. I hid it from them till I was 7 months pregnant. I didn't tell my dad went to jail, but my mom, she wasn't even around me enough to know that I was pregnant.
Melissa has been in her new foster home exactly 1 week. Raven has been with this foster family since she was 2 weeks old. Raven's progress has been remarkable, considering her diagnosis at birth.
She was 50% brain damaged. They couldn't say for sure what her prognosis was, but it was not good. We've got a lot of education to do. We have lots of therapy to do. And we are right now in a honeymoon phase.
The experience will be that Melissa will go home, do okay for a period of time, but she will go back into an environment where she's not real comfortable. And she'll get tired of that. She'll leave, hopefully not with the child, in probably 3 to 5 months, if not sooner, and go back out on the streets, and then we'll go on with our situation with her child.
But Melissa is optimistic. Even though she's not been to school since the 6th grade, she says she looks forward to heading back to the classroom for the first time in 3 years. She knows how she wants things to be in another month.
I would like to be in school. Hopefully things are going better with Raven. I know if you come back and see me in another month, things will be good. As long as I'm around positive people and make positive decisions, I will be doing just fine.
And true to her word, a month after our first visit, Melissa is adapting to her new high school. Child Welfare Case Manager Gretchen Gentry is at Melissa's foster home today to check on Melissa's progress.
This is my first time since the incident, so yeah, I will.
You scared?
Melissa is also learning to take care of her baby. This includes administering seizure medication to Raven. Today will be the first time Melissa does it herself.
It is Carafate.
And how many times a day does she take them? Go look at her chart.
I know she takes it 6, 10, 2, and 6
Yep, milliliter.
milliliter.
Yep.
So it'd be right there.
You want me to do the other two while you pull up the Tegra Talk?
I forgot how much she takes of this.
Can we put 2.5 mils in it?
Right there.
Just shake it. The top of the black line, because if you put them upside down,
Don't
they'll
try.
leak out.
Melissa knows this current shared foster placement for her and her daughter Raven is as close as she'll come to a family at this stage in her life. She misses her brother, who is in a separate foster home, and her sister, who is currently a runaway. Melissa says she still loves her parents, but doesn't let herself think about being with her mom and dad anymore.
When I ran away, I was around my mom and my dad, and I seen that they didn't want to make no changes in their life. They wanted to keep doing what they wanted to do and don't want to take care of their kids, don't want to try, so I gave up on that idea.
Melissa has been out of her home and a ward of the court over 15 months. Today, by law, the state must file a termination of parental rights petition against Melissa's parents. The termination is not automatic, but unless there's a compelling reason to drop it, the hearing to completely sever all parental rights will be finalized, anywhere from 90 days to 1 year.
Okay, come here.
Melissa's parents declined to talk on camera, but say they are remorseful that their family has been torn apart.
Chin up. Sure you're okay? Okay.
Cause number 2000 JC 704 in the matter of Raven.
In less than a week's time, Melissa returns to Judge Payne's court for a review on her daughter Raven's case. It's just 5 days later, but the situation between Melissa and her foster mom takes a drastic turn. After months of living under the same roof, molding as a family, raising Raven together, and turning her life around, it seems Melissa has started to feel the pull of her old friends and family. Things are beginning to unravel.
She refuses to be accountable, and she refuses to be honest about her actions.
Anything else I need to know?
No, that would be it.
Melissa, anything you want to say? I thought I was pretty direct with you last time.
It was.
Some of our kids start to do real well and then figure they don't deserve it, or they don't like it, or it's not as much fun as it was on the street. Are you there? Is that what you've decided?
No.
Well, you've got two worlds, the one you're living in right now and the one you used to live in. You cannot have both. Which one do you want?
I want the one I have now.
Then you're going to have to give up on the other one. Your grades, how are they?
They're good.
No, they're not. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're doing everything right, except you're starting to get back to where you used to be. My job is the accountability arm. I will hold you accountable, Melissa.
Chicago's Cook County Public Guardian Patrick Murphy knows how hard it is for kids to break the bond with old friends and family. But he says there comes a point when the state must terminate a parent's rights if it's in the child's best interest.
Our government and all governments have traditionally deferred to the family and said, how you raise your children within certain limits is up to you. At some point, I think we have to start taking that line and making it a little firmer, because we defer too often to a lot of people who are doing a horrible job of raising their kids. At what point does the state step in? And at what point does the state say, I'm sorry, you're doing a terrible job, we're going to take them away. But once we do that, then we have to provide the professional resources for these kids.
The Adoption and Safe Families Act, we have got some now guidelines that we have to move children through the system somewhat faster than we ever did before, which has really, helped, because it makes caseworkers put their feet to the fire and do their jobs a little faster than they otherwise would have. It makes courts schedule cases we hear cases now every 3 and 6 months for review, where in the past you reviewed matters every year, sometimes 18 months.
No matter how tough things get, Melissa says she's determined to carve the right path for herself
You ready?
and Raven.
Want to take your medicine, honey?
I know when I spoke to Melissa, her goals were a week and a month at a time, and we're looking at years at a time.
Nationally, fewer than 1/3 of teenage mothers finish high school. Yet after being away from school for 3 years, Melissa is earning straight A's. Her confidence is intact, and she says she's looking forward to her next hearing on May 24th.
I know what changes I have to make, and I can do it.
The last time we saw 15-year-old Melissa, she was struggling with the lure of her old friends and feeling trapped in a life of perpetual foster care. But after thinking about how far she had come and the future she wanted for herself and her baby Raven, Melissa seemed back on track.
I know for sure things will be better. I know what changes I have to make, and I can do it.
After all the hard work, all the positive signs, and her repeated apparent good intentions, the next chapter in Melissa's story is a stunning one that makes local headline news.
This missing teen and mother is a ward of the court along with her infant daughter.
Exactly 29 days after telling us she could make it, Melissa crawled through her bedroom window, stole her foster parents' car, and ran away with 11-month-old Raven.
She and her child were in the foster home, and she took off.
Judge Payne makes an urgent early morning phone call to the county director of the Division of Family and Children. The judge is on a mission to find Melissa and Raven.
There's a detective in, I think it is Johnson County, Amanda Kiesling, who has put out a nationwide bulletin for her.
And remembers Sergeant Terheide, the face Judge Payne told Melissa to take a hard look at when we first met her 4 months earlier?
That's Sergeant Terheide. If you take off, I'll ask him to hunt you down and find you and bring you back here.
That same Sergeant Terheide is now officially in charge of finding Melissa and checking in by phone.
Yeah, I'll call the Hendricks County deputy and see if she has anything first.
Across town, after foster mom Karen Butterworth wakes up to the realization that Melissa and Raven are gone, she is in shock.
So she's gonna be so stupid. I was so stupid. Because Matt's keys were missing yesterday off Kara's key ring, and I had a thought, and I didn't go with it. I thought, check Melissa's room, and I thought, well, no, because this trust thing, and she got me. I was stupid.
You will not interfere with the custody of Raven while I have
Judge
control of
Payne
her.
is no stranger to cases like Melissa's. Melissa knows the streets well. She spent nearly 5 months on the run when she was pregnant with Raven. The United States has the highest teen pregnancy rate of any developed nation. Problems related to teen pregnancy cost taxpayers $7 billion a year. So for juvenile judges like Judge Payne, this Saturday morning crisis is no surprise.
Unfortunately, it's our kids, and Adults typically indicate what children should do, and they do it. They teach the behavior, and kids model it. And then we blame kids for the problems. This is predictable.
It's now been 2 days since Melissa ran away with Raven. The longer they're gone, the worse the odds are that they'll be found. But local TV stations are turning up the heat, and for Melissa, hiding forever won't be easy. When we last left 15-year-old Melissa, she'd run away in the middle of the night with her 11-month-old daughter, Raven. Judge Payne and a police detective were scouring the city for signs of Melissa and her baby. Foster mom Karen Butterworth also had local TV stations reporting the story. Less than a week after she ran away, the Butterworths get the call they've been waiting for. Melissa, with Raven, finally turns herself in to local police. It's now time to pick up Raven at a local hospital where she'd been taken for observation.
I have to wonder what all she's been through from all the places I hear that, 2 o'clock in the morning getting up and moving somewhere. It's...
While Karen is reunited with Raven, she knows Melissa sits in a jail cell waiting to find out the consequences of her actions. In just 2 days, Melissa will have to return to court.
I think she'll be very remorseful and very emotional, and I think she'll be scared to death.
By the time we see Melissa one last time, it's 3 months later, and she's in juvenile court facing charges of auto theft and neglect.
Are you asking at this time that I accept this plea agreement and your admission to count 1, the petition of auto theft?
Yes, sir.
You understand that by
After
admitting
striking
this,
a plea agreement, the state of Indiana decides to drop Melissa's neglect charges in exchange for her guilty plea to auto theft. Until her final disposition or sentencing hearing, Melissa will remain locked up in the Marion County Juvenile Detention Facility.
What Melissa needs is to understand that she is not a responsible human being yet. She's 15 years old. If she can learn to be dependent at this point on the right person, she has a chance.
Those were Judge Payne's words 6 months earlier. Now, this child in need of services, is also a juvenile delinquent. Still, we couldn't help but remember Melissa the way we saw her so many times over the last 6 months. Her mind made up that she was going to make it, as a teenager, as a student, as a mom.
If you come back and see me another month, things will be good. I just know they'll be good. I have my mind set for what I want to do, so as long as I'm around positive people and make positive decisions, I will be doing just fine. It's kind of hard when you have parents that they're not there for you and to tell you about what you need to do. It's just you get to do anything you want to do. You don't have nobody telling you. So at times it was scary for me because I didn't have no parents, but it is scary sometimes.
Were they just unable to care for you and your brother and your sister, or?
They both have the ability to care for us. It's wanting to do it, and they chose to use drugs over us kids. Both of my parents have the ability to take care of themselves and us kids. They're just choosing not to.
How does that make you feel? If there are other kids out there who are going through the same thing, can you explain it, how you feel?
It hurts sometimes. I've learned I'm trying to get over it now. I try to think of happier things. It hurts, but it just makes me know what type of mother I want to be and how I know what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do.
Do you talk to your parents at all? Do they know how you feel about what your life has been like at all?
No, because we've always been Well, me and my mother and my father, my dad's always been in jail, so I really haven't got to talk to him. And we don't have the type of relationship where I can come to them and tell them how I'm feeling. I've never spoke the truth. I always told them that I was happy, but I never spoke my real feelings about it because we just didn't have that type of relationship where I could. We've all had some happy times with my mom and dad. I can remember when I was younger, we all went skating and stuff one night, and we usually did that on Saturdays when we could all get together and my dad didn't have to work. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. The past 4 years, life, it's just not been happy. I made it seem like it was happy, but on the inside, I was not happy, and I thought what I wanted was to be with my mother and to do what I want, but really I went and found out that's not what I want and it's not good for me.
How hard is it now to get used to being a mother? And I know you're going to be going back to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you scared? Are you nervous?
No, I'm not school, I'm not nervous about that. As far as taking care of Raven, I'm not really nervous about that. I know that there's things I need to learn to do, and I'm not really nervous. I just don't want bad times for us. But I'm not nervous or scared because I have faith that we can make it through this. So,
at one point, you had run away, right?
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide at the time that you felt like you needed to run away, and what was it like while you were gone?
I wanted to run away because I didn't want to follow any rules. I wanted things to go my way, and if they didn't, I would hear you when you talk to me, but in my mind I was thinking I didn't care because I was going to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And that's why I wanted to run away because when I was in my foster home, my foster parents, they respected me and everything. I just didn't want to follow the rules. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do. And when I was on the run, I didn't really do nothing. I didn't go to school. I didn't work. I lived with my mom, and my mom, she had a house. She'd be running in and out. I'll be running in and out. Anything and everything I wanted to do, I was fine. For a while, my dad was out of jail, but went back to prison. They were both on drugs. Didn't care what I did. I was pregnant. I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 4 months, but when I did find out I was pregnant, I hid it, and we didn't even have the type of relationship where they even knew that I was pregnant. I hid it from them till I was 7 months pregnant. I didn't tell my dad went to jail, but my mom, she wasn't even around me enough to know that I was pregnant. It wasn't a very happy life when I was on the run.
Were there nights when you just sat there and thought, I wish my life was what?
Better. There's been plenty of nights I wish my life was better. I do that now sometimes, but I just know that things will get better eventually. That's when I was on the run before, I'd be like, why did this have to happen to my family? Why did we have to be the ones that parents on drugs, teenagers getting pregnant, doing drugs, nobody cares. And I always wonder that. I do still wonder that now. But I know things will get better as long as I do what I need to do.
Are you afraid at all of getting to the point where you feel like you might run away again? Does that scare you, or?
I'm not scared about it because I know if I came to that point now that I would try to go talk to somebody and get some help because it's not worth losing none of the stuff I regained. I regained trust. I regained a lot of things from just just talking to people and asking for help. Running away, it's not gonna get you. It's just gonna make you things be better for you. It's not gonna help nothing.
Then what made you decide to take the baby in?
I do special needs foster care, special needs, medical needs, and when there's a baby, they'll call me, and I go pick them up.
And she's not your only one.
No.
Tell us about the other children and Raven, and what some of the challenges are for some of the foster children you have.
Right now I have baby spina bifida. He may or may not walk, we don't know. He has a shunt. He's got hydrocephaly, which is like water on the brain. I have a cracked baby. I have a liver transplant. And then we have Raven, which is supposedly 50% brain damage, but you can't tell. When I get these babies, they usually have really bad prognosis, and it's a miracle just to watch them grow and gain weight and do things, and most of the time they surpass what they were expected to do, ever. I mean, almost always.
So tell us about from the first day you brought Raven home to now. She's now 7 months old.
Right.
How has her progress been?
Tremendous. When she couldn't eat, when we first picked her up, they were tube feeding her. We had to teach her how to eat. We would give her like a half an ounce to an ounce every half an hour. Work with her lips. Lots and lots and lots of therapy. We just increased our therapy too. Lots of doctor's appointments, neurology appointment. We have a physiophysiatrist that is over rehab her muscles. We have a pediatrician. That's all for her.
So what do they actually say her diagnosis is or was at birth?
I got a paper. It's a really bad word that I don't like to use ever, and I can't believe they used it. But they said she was a vegetable-like state. That she was 50% brain damaged, and it is severe. I did see the CAT scan. It is. They couldn't say for sure what her prognosis was, but it was not good.
Did you ever think the day would come when Raven would be 7 months old and she'd be here living in this house with her mom, with Melissa?
No. No, actually, in the beginning, they had asked me about Melissa, and I said no, I couldn't do it. But Melissa's also a miracle baby because she's done tremendous. And if it wasn't for her progress and for her attitude, she wouldn't be here.
Because you don't typically take into...
No, I'm not, no. My baby special medical needs, I'll even take, up to like 8 years old medical needs. But, I have lots of concerns, lots of worries.
What are some of your worries?
Keeping Melissa in reality, keeping Melissa here, keeping the pressure off her. I want nothing more than for her to succeed. I want her to be a wonderful adult, a wonderful mother, and we have a long road. And she's very determined, which is awesome, but it's a long road.
This is amazing, okay? Because I know you...
We got them back 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, but I know when I spoke to Melissa, her goals were a week and a month at a time, and we're looking at years at a time. So
That's why I did years at a time.
yeah,
Exactly.
This is amazing. So if she learns the patience to follow, one set of goals from month to month and make it a year at a time, then that would be a wonderful thing. February this month, you're gonna meet all of Raven's doctors. How many doctor's appointments you been to so far?
2.
2. Okay.
2, I think.
And what'd you think? Were you overwhelmed? Or were you surprised? Had
No.
questions?
They're just speaking a lot of words I ain't never heard before.
Medical terms.
Yeah.
Did you write some of them down so you could look them up and see what they mean? Or did you
No.
ask them to explain in layman's terms?
No, when they was talking, sometimes I didn't understand. They be talking to Karen, and I figured that after it's over, I could just ask her about it, so I didn't interrupt.
Okay. It's okay for you to interrupt though, because Raven is your daughter. So if you don't understand something that they're talking about, you know, when you all at doctor's appointments, I want you to ask questions, because you need to get in the habit of asking questions. Okay. So, okay, write some of that stuff down. So I know Karen's an encyclopedia. She knows all this stuff, but I want you to become knowledgeable too. Okay. We got a big list. I can't believe little Miss Thing here, how much she has grown and is moving around and everything.
Raven. Hi.
I think she actually looks like you. Did you get your hair cut?
Yeah, you seen it. Oh, yeah, I got the back cut again.
Okay, that's nice. Okay,
Thanks.
so tell me all about school, so. It's Avon High School, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was your first full week?
Yeah.
Okay, so how
It's
was
been
it?
fine. I've been getting along with everybody, and I met all types of new friends, and the teachers are nice, and everybody's nice.
What about the work, the school work?
In certain subjects, but like in math, I did it before, but like the other day I went in and the math was easy to me. Like I did math today and I had no problem with it. And child development, I like that class. So
this is a little different from on ground school. Okay, this is like real school here, moving around, high school and all that. So you enjoying it? Okay. When grades come out?
Oh no.
Okay. Well, I'm expecting to see some decent looking grades this semester. Okay. Okay. So how's it going here?
It's been going fine.
Have any problems with the house rules?
I ain't had no problems. They just where's your hair everywhere you
Real
go.
down to earth people. I know Karen is just real down to earth.
Yeah.
Okay. And look at Raven. Look at her. Are you learning all this good stuff about changing diapers, feeding? And is she sleeping all night though now, right? Okay. Sleeping all night. Look at you. You must be a hand for the camera. I think you actually like that. Yeah.
Here, baby.
So you're learning all the parenting stuff, the diapers, the giving the bath and all the other stuff. Okay. And that's the things you asked me for, the parental participation. I forgot it, but I'm going to put it in the mail to Karen so you can have it for your records. But don't worry about the other stuff. I know you probably worried about the first aid and the parenting classes and all that other stuff. We're going to get to that stuff, but I want you to make the adjustment to high school first. And depending on what happens in the summer, if you have to go to summer school or not, I'm not sure. We'll see. If you don't, then you can take the parenting class in the summer, and you can take the first aid in the summer too. So you're doing therapy with Esther, right? Okay, how's it going?
So far it's went fine.
How many sessions have you had?
I think 3 since the first week I got here. Actually moved in here. I think I've been like 3 or 4 times. But it's been fine.
The first one was pretty long, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It went fine. Esther, she just tells me, she just gets on me when she thinks she needs to get, when it's appropriate, and she just tells me what she thinks. So.
And what are you telling her? You being honest about your feelings about everything?
Sometimes.
Okay. So which part aren't we being honest about? Are we dealing with the feelings about mom? Are we dealing with that?
She don't, we don't really talk about it a lot, but it's kind of what I bring up, I think.
Oh, so you're doing the avoidance tactic. We don't want to talk about mom.
No, because it's not avoiding it, it's just I haven't thought about her. Really, seriously.
You haven't thought about it at all.
Not recently. Only time I think about it, like if I see you, or I talk to my brother, and I ain't talked to him in a couple weeks, so.
Do you usually call Mike, or he usually calls you?
He called me here once, and sometimes I call him. Mostly I've called him.
You think you can call him this weekend? He is really having a rough time. And hopefully he's not gonna run away this weekend. I hope, but he's really been having a really rough time.
Why?
Why? He's upset because the permanency plan is in between. Is he gonna stay with the Carpenters? Am I ever really going back to live with Mom? He just
Confused.
Yeah, just having a really hard time with it.
Every time
And
I
plus
try to
you
talk
guys
to
are-
him, he changes the subject about it. Because
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, this is permanent. He was like, he asked me, why didn't I stay there or something. I was like, it just don't work out there with me, but it seems like y'all are working out together, and I think that's a good placement for you until you're old enough to handle things by yourself. And he's going around everything.
I think he's part of it is he's lonely because you are here, the baby's here. Amber is around and about here, and he's out.
Yeah,
Terre Haute by
that's what I
himself.
thought too. I thought the same thing.
Yeah. He'll never say that, but that's part of it.
Yeah, because I feel like that before I can see when he feels like that.
Yeah, and you guys haven't visited in a while.
No.
Not since you left retreat and before then, right? So he's upset about that, and then he really avoids dealing with Mom in therapy. I mean, he almost never wants to talk about it. So he's having a really hard time with that.
Do you think he got an anger problem?
Not an anger problem.
Just hard time expressing his feelings?
Yeah, very hard time. And just having a hard time dealing with his feelings about your mother. I mean, he really loves your mom, but he's just having a hard time with
Well,
is
I
she
do-
gonna
I
take
love
care
her
of
too,
us?
but-
I know, but he's not that mature. He hasn't been out on the streets as much as you have. He just having a hard time. So, if you could just encourage him, just talk to him. Let him
I
know
wanted
that
him to
being
come.
on the streets is not a wise thing. It's not
I
fun.
tell him that every time I talk to him, he changes the subject every time. I'm like, don't run away. He's like, I'm not running away. I was like, because it's not the right thing to do. You'll end up with all more problems than you have now. It just explodes. You'll have a lot more problems.
You would know, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Visit maybe?
yeah, we really need a visit. Really need a visit. They're really having a hard time. I mean, they really love Michael and they want to adopt him and all that stuff. But we are just on the bubble with are we gonna do this and when we gonna do it, and it's just getting harder for everybody. So I don't know, if it doesn't settle down, we may end up changing placements for a little while to calm it down. I really don't want to do that because that's just so hard. But I know he's got some feelings about his family being here in Indianapolis and he's in Terre Haute. So I really know that's hard for him. I mean, of course, he's never going to tell me any of this, but I know it to be so.
Right. I could tell you that for sure.
Yeah, plus he doesn't like me because I don't come see him as much. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yeah, that's what he tells me you don't see.
I know, he's upset. I know, but I'm working on it. So.
That's really what he tells me. I try to tell him to be good.
But of course, all of my kids forget about me. Nobody ever calls me and checks and see
You're
how
never
I'm
there.
doing. You know, leave a voicemail, I know. Okay, that's because I'm doing all this running around trying to keep stuff straight, okay? But Karen usually catches me from time to time in the office. She's got to know what time to catch me. But
Trial and error.
yeah, early in the morning. But
It's real hard, Melissa, because I know you and your brother, you have to think that you're the only ones. But Gretchen here has like a huge caseload, and she's got to keep up with all of them, everybody. So you got to be a little bit patient with that. And if it's emergency, I can get them.
yeah, she can.
I can get them.
Can. Yeah. So what are you thinking about all this stuff? Taking it slow, not overly anxious. I know.
I was at first. Now it's slowing down.
Okay.
At first I was trying to go fast.
Okay. That's a good thing. You when's your birthday?
July 5th.
July 5th. And you will be
16.
16. Okay. You're still just a kid. Yeah. It's an awesome responsibility to be out there at 16 and try to take care of a baby all by yourself and finish high school and be able to provide for your needs and hers too. It's not easy. I got a 17-year-old out there now. She's having a really hard time. So don't rush it. You welcome all the help you can possibly get.
I know. I'm trying to learn that, but I don't like depending on people all the time. Like, I know I need people's help, but I just can't seem to comprehend it or something because
you spend so much time out there doing your own thing. This is a different situation. It takes a lot of compromise and conformity and trust, yeah. And y'all don't have a lot of that. None of you don't have a lot of that. So it takes some time to build that up. Okay. Anything else going on? You met some friends at school?
a lot, yeah, I did.
Okay. That's a good thing. I don't think I've seen you smile so much in a long time. A really long time.
Yes, you have.
That's not true. She usually don't smile, so she's smiling a lot now. And you are too. I can't believe how well she is doing.
Well, of course. She's in a good environment.
So,
Yeah.
That's
Gretchen, from the first time you came in contact with Melissa, what have the changes been? What have you seen?
Melissa's more communicative. When I first met her, she was real closed up, bottled up. Didn't talk that much, wouldn't talk that much, and definitely didn't smile a lot at all. You know, I was the enemy when she met me. It's like, can't say anything about anything to her, okay? She's gonna take my kid away and lock me up. So she really much more brighter, you know, face bright, smiling, and open. So she's changed a lot.
When we first met Melissa in court, boy, there was a lot of testimony that day about what Melissa might not be able to do, how she might not be able to tough it out, how school was really going to be a challenge.
I don't think it is. As far as doing the work, but
I think as Melissa gets into school more and being a high school student, the challenges are going to come. Not easy these days being a high school student. I got one of my own at home, so I know there are going to be some challenges. She doesn't see them right now, but she will as she goes along. She's got to make some adjustments just in terms of academically catching up because she's been out of school for a little while. So they're taking it slow now, but once, you know, we get on the road where they feel she can handle it, you know, then it's going to get more challenging. The work's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. So I think she'll be able to deal with it. But by no means is it going to stay easy. Yeah. It's not going to stay easy. It's going to get
hopefully it
difficult.
will.
That's not, you know, that's not the purpose. I mean, it has to get harder. It has to be a challenge. And as you think about your future, what are you going to do after high school? You know?
Go to college.
Yeah. So college is definitely not going to be easy. A lot of us can attest to that. So
You sound extremely confident when you say, go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Now that might surprise some people. Do you think it would surprise some people that you knew in your past?
Yeah. Yep.
But you're determined.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so important to you?
Because I feel that I need my education to survive. I mean, to be anywhere you gotta go, anywhere I want to go in life, I need my education to help me out.
When you were talking to Gretchen earlier, Melissa, there was a lot of talk about your brother and some talk about your sister. Do you not only feel responsible for yourself and Raven, but also somewhat responsible for what happens to your brother and sister?
No. I worry about my brother a lot. As far as Amber, I don't feel like that for her. I do worry about my brother a lot though, because we've been around each other more than my sister, and we've been through some things together, so I don't feel responsible for him. No.
The judge came down pretty hard on you. Told you that at that point he didn't care about you, he cared about Raven. What was going through your mind at that time when he was saying all that?
That he wasn't playing. He's really serious what he's talking about. That's what was going through my mind.
Were you afraid of him?
Verbally I am. Because he has a lot of power. He has a lot of power. He could take things I don't want to say whenever he wants to, but in a way, yes, he can. So, that scares me, yes. That scares me about him.
Did you understand he was saying what he was saying because he wanted you to understand your responsibility?
Yep, I understand.
We were talking a little bit before about your first week this week at school. How was the first morning when you woke up on Monday morning? How did that go?
Well, I didn't really want to get up when I heard my alarm go off. But I just got up, took a shower, got dressed, and I already got all my school stuff ready I needed for school, and then I just ate and then wait for the bus to come.
So now, is it your responsibility to take care of Raven in the morning before you go to school? A lot of kids couldn't imagine that.
Half and half. Raven in the morning, when I get up, she's asleep, and Karen will be up, and Raven, I just get her up, and I just give her medicine, and then because I'm leaving, I just lay her back down in bed with a bottle, and she goes to sleep. So she ain't really up when I'm up. She just is up long enough to take her medicine, then she goes back to sleep. Or she'll lay in her bed and play, whatever she does.
Okay, Karen, if we were going to ask you about the first week, it had to have been a challenge.
Well, actually, I haven't even told Gretchen about the first day yet, so.
First day was hard.
Yeah, we had a incident, but yeah, it didn't start out as well as I had hoped it would. So.
Do either of you want to talk about it?
I'll tell it.
Good.
Monday morning I got up, and Karen was still asleep, and I get up trying to be responsible, and I went into the cabinet to pull up Raven. Raven takes barbital. I thought she took it. At that time she was on it, but she wasn't supposed to take it at 6 in the morning. She's only supposed to take it 6 nights. So I pulled up that and Tegretol and Carafate, yeah. But when I did, I grabbed the wrong bottle, and I grabbed up Tylenol 3 from the cabinet, and Karen told me to in the morning when I get up to get Raven her med that I need to wake her up, and I didn't. She was asleep because I was trying to do things on my own to be responsible, and I thought I could handle it by myself. So I thought I would pull it up and give it to Raven, and when I gave it to Raven, I was on my way back in here, and Karen was like, "Where's Melissa?" Because I left the bottles on the counter, and I walked in the kitchen. She's like, "You just gave your baby the wrong medicine," and I looked at her, I said I didn't know, and she said she didn't want to hear me say that because before I had gave Raven her medicine at a time when she wasn't supposed to, and I told her that she didn't know what to do, so I believe she looked in her book to see, but she couldn't find out, so she called a place, and they told her that it wouldn't hurt her, it just give her a bellyache. But it was the whole point of all I had to do was go wake her up and ask her. Because even though it could have just gave Raven a bellyache, if I would have gave her more than what I gave her, she could have maybe went to the hospital.
Were you scared?
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, a lot of kids your age might take a look at this situation and think, you know what? It'd be a lot easier just to run. You know the baby's in good hands. This is a lot of responsibility. Why not just take off?
I ain't leaving my baby. No, some people might think that, but because I love my baby and I know we can do better things, I won't run away. So, it's, my life now, my life meant things to me, but I didn't really look at it as that way. So, in ways, Raven's helped me see things that I haven't seen before. But it wouldn't be better to run away. I know that. I know it's a lot of responsibility, and I should have thought about that a long time ago. And now I have to deal with the responsibility that I put in my own hands. So I have a lot of help, though, helping me. So it's a lot, but when you got a lot of, it's still hard. I can't say it's not that hard, because it is. It is a lot of responsibility.
Is it hard being in a foster home where, you know, Karen really has responsibility for the baby? Is it difficult knowing you have to abide by rules? And
at first it was, because I'm not really used to it, but because I was in a placement for 6 months, I got back to being used to following rules. At times it's irritating because I wish I wasn't in a foster home, and where I live with Raven and stuff, but I don't have custody of her. Like Karen and Gretchen have more say-so over what Raven did. We're two different cases, so we do live together. They gave us they gave me that privilege to be able to live with her. But it's irritating that sometimes, because I don't like being in a foster home and foster care. But luckily I came to this foster home, and it's pretty nice. I like it. If I could have a home with my parents, this is what I want it to be like.
Our initial placement or thought for her was not a foster home, okay? We were like, no, we're way too streetwise. We're way too much of a flight risk. The foster home was the last place we were thinking. We're thinking lockdown quick. Okay, what's the nearest lockdown place we can find? And as she progressed in the residential treatment center she was there for 6 months.
with the baby?
No, the baby was here with Karen. And Karen and I initially decided that she would not be coming here. I think Melissa had mentioned it at one time to Karen. I was like, no, that's not going to happen. We're not doing that. That's not the plan. And I really don't know how we eventually got back to the plan that she would come here, because I never, and all the time she was at retreat, I never brought it up to Karen. I never asked her, would she consider a placement for Melissa here with the baby. That was not my original thought, and I didn't think about it, and we never discussed it. But Karen actually came back to me with it after she had been visiting with Melissa and seeing her with the baby. I secretly hoped that we would be able to put them in placement together, but I didn't know how Melissa would function in a structured home environment with the baby, and with her not being the custodial parent right now because they're both wards. So I didn't know how she would be able to handle not having total say over her own daughter, with them both being in foster care. So I'm just really surprised that she's here, and somewhat surprised that it's gone as well as it has. Her and Karen hit it off really well. which is a good thing. And so I'm just happy it's worked out well. I know there are going to be some bumps and bruises along the way. It's not going to be kitty fairyland the whole time. But just the fact that they're both in the same placement is a blessing all unto itself.
Well, actually, I was over one of my friend's house, and I called my mother to come pick me up, and she picked me up, and we went to Western, and
Hospital.
right, and somebody had already called and told them that I was coming in. I was a runaway, so I left out of Wishart and went to Community East and went under a different name and went from there.
We actually have been looking for Melissa for a little while before she had the baby, because she was sick and went to St. Francis. So we already had a tip that she was, going to be going into labor soon. So all the hospitals were already on alert looking for her. We just hoped that when she went into labor, she would go back to a hospital. I mean, we didn't think she would, but we hoped she would go back to a hospital. So we were actually kind of just waiting for her to do that.
So you had the baby, and then you stayed in the hospital, and that's when she came back into the system, so to speak? Or?
Well, she had the baby in the hospital, and then she left. She didn't stay at the hospital. She left. But then she came back, and then that's when we actually picked her up and arrested her when she came back to the hospital to check on the baby.
When I left the hospital, I didn't actually leave out like that. They released me to my mother under a different name, and when they took Raven to Community North. I had her at Community East, so immediately they took her to Community North, and I didn't leave my baby up there. I went and checked on her all the time, but I didn't leave her there. Mm-mm.
So your mom let you check in under another name?
Yeah, she lets me do a lot of things.
Her mom actually knew we were looking for her, but her mother was not forthcoming with information to help us locate her and to assist her. I mean, we didn't want her having a baby out on the streets. We knew she was sick the first time she checked in the hospital. But her mother was not of any assistance to us at all in helping locate her, and she knew where she was at most of the time. And actually, last summer, all three of them were on the run, and she knew where all of them were, and she never told us where they were at. So
there's only so much you can do as a caseworker.
Yes, only so much we can do, and the private eyes are looking for several children. We have a lot of kids on the run. They make runs and go back by the places that we can give them information where they might be. But once the kids are tipped off, then they don't go back to those places, and then we have nowhere else to go to locate them.
Did you ever think you'd be reunited with Raven after you were arrested?
No.
Tell me about the arrest. What was that like? Take me through that.
I went to Community North on the 4th of July to visit Raven, and I was in there visiting her, and the nurses told me that somebody wanted to see me, and I could see through a window who wanted to see me. And at first I was like, man, I know that's the police, and I know they're gonna lock me up. So the nurse was like, well, go on out there, somebody want to see you. And I was like, who want to see me? And she's like, I don't know. And so I started to walk away, and then when I came back in, and there's like the I don't know who it was, the policeman, I guess they were security of the police, was like, well, we're looking for somebody. I was like, I'm Melissa Evans, and I'm who you look for. They was like, do you have any identification on you? I was like, no, but I'm telling you, I'm Melissa Evans. It's like, so you're Melissa Evans? I'm like, yes. And so they didn't let me go nowhere. They needed to run, make sure I was getting them the right information, and then as soon as they set me in a room, and my mom had dropped me off at the hospital, and she went to Myers and was coming back, and when she come back, they had told her. And my mom went under there, was like, where's Melissa Robertson? And was asking that. And so they was like, I called him and I was like, Mom, I already told him the truth. And she just looked at me like, dang. And then they told her that they was going to lock me up. And I was crying because I didn't think I was going to see Raven. So I was like, can I see my baby before I go? And they was like, no, you can't go nowhere. We need the paddy wagon's on the way and you're going to go to Juvenile. Or yesterday, they didn't know for sure where to take me. So I was upset, but my mom left, and the sheriff came pick me up.
And when was the next time you saw Raven after that?
In July, after I stayed in Juvenile for like 2 weeks, and then I went to a placement, and then a couple weeks into the placement, Karen brought Raven up there to see me.
As a caseworker, this case is turning out probably a little bit differently than you would have anticipated.
Yeah, it is. But this case changes weekly. It seems like once you put out one fire, then you get another one going. Last summer when we located her, it was probably a couple of weeks before that we were going to release her sister from the same treatment facility and put her in a foster home. And she actually ran a week before we were going to release her. And then the brother ran too. So at one time I had all three of them on the run. So it changes weekly, and you keep your fingers crossed and you hope what you put together works and that it lasts long enough for you to breathe and I'll see some of the goals happen.
So we started the Carafate to see if we can't settle her stomach down.
She doesn't have reflux though, does she?
No, she doesn't. No. And then she takes Tegretol, which is the new medication for seizures.
Okay, so
And
we're still easing off of the phenobarb.
we're done with the phenobarb as of Wednesday. So, and then what else we take? Carafate, Tegretol, and her vitamins. So.
Say that's me.
Here, how we do this is we got glasses marked for each time, and I like to pull them all up at one time so that when Melissa can just grab what she needs and give them to her. You want to pull them up? We try and always double check them, triple check them, quadruple check them.
You're getting the hang of that? Checking, double checking, and rechecking.
I haven't got to do it yet. This is my first time since the incident, so yeah, I will.
You scared?
No, because too many people are watching me. I won't do one. I mean, too many people are standing here helping, so. Okay. Which one's this?
Number
It's
one.
me to be the
look for the name.
female.
Look.
I
Do
seen
it at
it.
a time. Name.
Raven.
What is it?
It is Carafate.
And how many times a day does she take them? Take Carafate. Go look at her
She
chart.
takes it in the morning.
Go look at her chart. Does it say, or did I not have Carafate up there yet?
Yeah, Carafate and Tegretol.
All right, how many times does she take Carafate?
Well, it don't stay up here, but I know she takes it 6, 10, 2, and 6.
Yep.
It just
Okay,
says,
and how much does she take?
1 milligram.
Milliliter.
Milliliter.
Yep.
Now, these are different. So would it be right there?
Mm-hmm.
Might have made some bubbles. That's not enough.
That's right.
Great.
Yep.
Okay. And this is.
Pull them on.
Oh, okay.
Turn just a little bit so I can see the bottoms.
You can't get the camera. She's doing good. She's double, triple, quadrupling checking.
Okay.
Where you gonna put it? That's right. You want me to do the other two while you pull up the tiger talk? You want to do it all? It's up to you.
I don't know how much is. I forgot how much she takes it.
Okay, here. Let me put her down. Ugh. Here.
Okay. What's she at?
The Tegretol, 2.5. And how many times a day does she take it?
Tegretol, she takes that. She takes it in the morning.
At 10?
No, it's 6. She takes it at 6 and 6, don't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one.
Okay. And now this is only a 1 ml syringe, right?
Yeah.
So can we put 2.5 mils in it?
No. Not if
Okay.
it's 1.
That's right.
Okay.
Where's 2.5?
That'll be 2 right there.
Yep. Did you shake it?
Shake it. No.
Don't break it.
All right. Fine. Okay.
Hold it up again for me, please. Check it over here.
2.5.
Wait a second, I need to check it.
Oh.
You turn around and check it again if you were. I can't find the focus here.
Okay.
The top of the black line is where you want.
Under it?
Yeah.
Under.
Yep, yep. Where's this go?
And right here.
Yep. Good job. Let me give you a pointer. Put them up, because if you put them upside down,
They'll
they'll
drag.
leak out.
Okay.
Right here.
We did it.